What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the 411 podcast. So, it is going to be freestyle session tonight. My guest cannot make it, but it's okay because we got a great freestyle going on tonight, y'all. Tuesday, November 30th, the last day of November. So, that means tomorrow we're going to get into December, which is crazy. What's going on, Carol Cordera? Dr. Stephen Bond, what's going on? How you doing? And for those of you who were hanging out there with me before the show on TikTok, I want to say what's up. Anybody out there watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, D Live, Twitch, what's going on? Welcome to the 411 podcast. So, yes, it is officially Sagittarian season. So, my birthday is coming up next month. Can't wait. So, that's why I'm drinking out of this cup here, y'all. Miss Cookies and Pie. Bethany, what's going on all the way from California? All right, so now, yesterday we had a lot going on. It was a crazy day yesterday. And I sort of breezed past the significance of yesterday. So, yesterday was the anniversary for the release of Mary J. Blige's My Life album. And the reason why that day, the album, means so much to me is because that album actually helped save my life. You know, during a dark time when I was like 13, 14 years old, all I had was Mary J. Blige records, and definitely was the My Life album that actually changed my life. Fast forward things, I gotta say that the same album is helping keeping me out of some good trouble today. So crazy. Back when I was 14 years old, you know, I was listening to Mary. And then now, during this pandemic, you know, sometimes it gets a little rough. So, you know, I've resulted to going back to this My Life record. And it's so crazy how it's still, you know, the joints just still do something for me today. So it's crazy. So, song of the day is actually My Life, the title track that actually helped save my life. And I'm opening up and I'm gonna share and I'm gonna keep it real because people don't really understand the significance behind me and Mary J. Blige. But I remember one time it was just a rough period and there was a lot of commotion going on, a lot of arguing, a lot of cussing, a lot of fighting, and somebody close to me they had to leave, and I didn't want them to leave, and I was a young teenager and I couldn't control the situation, but they had to leave because of stuff that was going on with adults that I couldn't really get into because it wasn't my place. So I took it upon myself to try to take my own life at that period. And, you know, I took some pills and I shouldn't have, but I did. And it was the My Life interlude that came on. Not the song, but the interlude, which is actually track number 11. And just hearing Mary sing track number 11 made me get up and go to the bathroom and throw everything up and getting into some perspective again. So that's the significance behind this My Life album. And all I had was Mary J. Blige during that time frame. I was teenager, middle school, rough period, real rough. And every day I would come home and I would just throw this CD in. Actually, it was a cassette tape. And I would play this cassette from side A to side B. I wore this joint out, top to bottom. So people really don't understand the significance. They think, oh, it's Mary. It's, I wonder what it is you know, what is they say it's an obsession, whatever you can call it, whatever you want to call it. I call myself the number one fan in the entire universe. When somebody can connect to you like that from afar and actually help save your life, I don't care what you want to call it. I'm still here breathing today because of MJB. But man, I wore this record out. So in celebration of me still being here, in celebration of Mary J. Blige still doing a damn thing all these years later, I cheer on and I rock on because, yes, Mary, every time you come out with an album, every time you do something different, that's more breath and that's more life for me. And I love it. And it was so significant when Mary said that I have to actually change my whole style, my whole get up, and how I sing these records and put this stuff out because I have a bunch of people who are actually looking up to me. When I was so vulnerable and so young at 13, 14, can you imagine if Mary actually did self-destruct at that point? She was suffering from some depression and going through some rough things too. Can you imagine if she did like a Kurt Cobain or Amy Winehouse at that point? So many people like me who were lost and struggling and didn't understand and didn't know who we were would have been like copycats and done the same exact damn thing. So you got millions of people watching you. So there is a responsibility. And I just want to say thank you, the queen of hip hop soul, Miss Mary J. Blige. Thank you so much. So I want to go down memory lane a little bit. This album, I still got the original, all beat up and everything else. I still got the original. And I'm gonna tell you how crazy it was because y'all remember Columbia House? Y'all remember BMG music group came after Columbia House? I still got it. I still got it. So I told y'all I wore a cassette tape out. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Heather for actually buying the cassette tape for me for Christmas. I remember it so well. 1994. It was like one of the best Christmas gifts I could have ever. I just wanted a single because back in the day, we used to just rock singles. So I'm Going Down came out and I wanted the single, but you couldn't get the single. You had to buy the whole entire album. And I got the whole entire album for Christmas and I almost lost my mind when I got this. So we're going to go down memory lane a little bit. So of course you get the intro with P. Diddy, the phone conversation, which is real dope because they redid it over from What's the 411. And then Mary Jane. Now, y'all know Mary Jane All Night Long. The Mary Jane Girls. Y'all know that song. Come into my bedroom, honey. What I got will make you spend money. When I heard that, I was like, yeah. Now, everybody in my household could not stand me. They could not stand me when track 3 because every day I used to play it for no good reason and blast it. You bring me joy. Barry White is ecstasy when you lay down next to me. Man, I was thumping. That was my thing all the time. Before I even played the whole album, I just throw on track 3 for no reason, bumping it. Marvin interlude, and then you get into I'm the Only Woman. That beat is just ridiculous, Superfly, ridiculous for no good reason. Such geniuses. I don't care what anybody says. This album will go down, and it is actually a classic, and it will go down in history as one of the number one R&B records of the 90s. People who were behind this whole production: Andre Harrell, Chucky Thompson, Sean Diddy Combs. I still call you Puffy. Genius. I mean, Just genius the way they put this together. Then of course, I knew nothing about Roy Ayers. I knew nothing about him until my life came around, and I had to go back and listen to the original. And the original is dope too. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I just what they did right there. This was Mary's doing my life. She wanted my life, so this was all her. Amazing. Y'all go back and look up Roy Ayers. Everybody loves the sunshine. The original one just as dope as Mary's, so it's crazy. And then of course, you gotta believe. Mm, this is where it starts to get good. And at first, you rocking in the beginning, then it slows down after my life, and you gotta believe is one of them. But the illest, dopest R&B track off of this album, when it comes from a slow song, I Never Want to Live Without You. I, I don't even know what to say about this, but this is one of the songs that when I put it on, I got to be careful because I'll get into a trance. There are certain songs that will put you into a trance, certain artists that will do it. Um, I do believe that this is the first time, when you go through Mary's career, the first time that she was actually putting people in trances with I Never Want to Live Without You. If there's anybody out there that's a fan like I am and understand you just minding your business, playing the song, and all of a sudden Mary starts going off towards the end of the song. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then, of course, you got the classic I'm Going Down. Now, I don't understand how this happens, but Rolls Royce, they had the original I'm Going Down. But is it truthful to say that Mary J. Blige actually took somebody's song and redid it better than the original? I know it's hard to say that because you got to give respect and credit to the original ones who did it. But I'm Going Down. This is Mary's song. I mean, I don't even think you even think about Rolls Royce, the car wash, all of that. When you think of I'm Going Down, for me anyway, it's just Mary J. Blige. Now, some of the older people, maybe, but now the original one was good. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't, but I truly believe that Mary J. Blige stole that record and actually made it better than the original. And if you think so, then let me know, but I truly believe so. She got young people, such as myself, 30s, 40s, singing that song as if it was something fresh and brand new. And she did make it fresh and brand new. I mean, still, when she sings it in the concert, she only has to sing 2 or 3 words, and that's about it. Everybody else sings the whole thing for her. So, craziness. And of course, the My Life interlude. I share with you all the significance behind what that interlude has done for me. Now, after you get done, side A, you flip over the cassette and you just rocking again. It picks up again with Be With You. Now, the way that joint comes on and you just start rocking, and Mary be like, turn the music up. You know that I don't ever want to leave you. Oh, man. Just go in again. It's just memory lane with that. And then Mary's joint. You're going to get some elements of real love in there. You know, that Brooklyn beat. You're going to get that on track 13. And then I lost my mind. I said this to y'all a couple nights before when I heard Don't Go. And when I was a young kid, there's a group called Guy. They had a song called Goodbye Love. And I thought that was the shit back then when I didn't even know who Mary J. Blige was. And I'm around singing Goodbye Love. Bye bye, baby. Bye bye. Y'all know Goodbye Love. Spend the Night, all that stuff from Guy. Groove Me, I like. So when I heard that Mary mixed that up with Don't Go, man, listen. Track 14, Don't Go. Track 15, we taking it back up again with I Love You. 16, you got Slick Rick elements and No One Else. And then, of course, Be Happy, Curtis Mayfield. You're So Good to Me. I mean, who does that? Who the hell does that? I didn't know who Curtis Mayfield was really until Mary J. Blige. And how my music started, how I learned, and how I wanted to figure this out even a little bit more. My mother always taught me about music, and I used to look at her, you know, records and turn them over. And I was more so looking at the pictures and just the artistry behind it, how they put it together and stuff. But as I started to play my life, my mom would be like, "Yeah, I heard that before." And I'm like, "Get out of here. This is Mary J. Blige." She'd be like, "No, I heard that before." So then I'm like, "Really?" So then I would open up the booklet. See, this is the shit that we don't get nowadays. And I would open up the booklet, right? And I start reading it. And I'd be like, "Oh, she's right. You know, Stevie Wonder did write this," or, you know, Barry White was in this. And then what it made me do from there is I would go on my mom's old records and I would search because my mom used to put the year. She keep all her stuff in a plastic because she, you know, keep her music together, and that's where I got it from. But she would keep all of her records in a plastic, and then she would put the year at the bottom. So when you're going through, just like at a record store, you pull it out, you see the year. So I would look and I would say, all right, so blah, 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 Barry White, 19, whatever, whatever. And I go down and I go in the basement and I start shuffling through stuff and I pick it up and then I spin the old record. And I'd be like, oh, that's real dope. And then that's how it really elevated my music to a whole nother level. So that's the whole story behind my obsession with music, my obsession with the queen of hip hop soul, Miss Mary J. Blige. And wow, here we go, y'all. So welcome to the 411 podcast freestyle session tonight. Hmm. So now last night we had a really good show. The Bipolar Bachelor was on last night. Go watch that replay. Jared really took it there last night and started to open up and speak about mental health and, you know, the significance about showing love and support to people who are struggling and not being so judgmental and pointing your fingers and saying this and saying that about people. And for those of you who have been struggling with mental illness and who have, you know, been ridiculed or whatever you want to call it, put in a hot seat for your issues, don't worry. It's all good because the same people that put you in that situation made you feel that way are the same people who are running scared and they're still struggling and they're going through some things and they're just not willing to come to the forefront and actually speak about it because you're crazy just like I'm crazy. But the bottom line is, can your crazy handle my crazy and can we get along? Because don't ever let anybody sit here and tell you that they're 100% and they're just all so well put together because that's just not the case. Everybody struggles with something. We all gonna have peaks and valleys in life, and we're all gonna go up, and we all gonna go down. And what goes up must come down. So you might be up here today, and I might be down here today, but don't look down at me and don't point your fingers and don't make me feel a certain way, because when you crash and burn, you know the tables might turn. And what am I gonna do when I'm in that same situation that you were in? But anyway, watched the replay last night. Jared came on, fellow podcaster. Check out his podcast, the Bipolar Bachelor Podcast. I want to give a very special shout out to my brother Nate Perry from Brooklyn, New York. What's going on? Actor Jason T. Davis, all the way from Los Angeles, was on as well this week. Ian West, y'all support my friend at Ian West Music on Instagram. Farrell Higginbotham from Trenton, New Jersey. What's going on? All the way from the ATL, Miss Lachelle Williams. She has a book called Perfidious Agenda. And Perfidious Agenda and myself, we have something in common. We were both born on the same day, December 11th. So Perfidious Agenda probably is getting ready to turn, I believe, 2 or 3 years old in a couple weeks. It's all in the cards with Kathy. I don't know if you out there, but what's going on? Sophie Davis. So give a shout out to Sophie Davis quite often. She supports the 411 podcast like no other, and I just want to say thank you so much. But it will be such an honor to bring her here on the 411 podcast come Thursday. So I can't wait to speak to you all the way from the UK. It takes some time for people from UK to come on to the 411 podcast because that means that when it's 10 o'clock here, it's 3 a.m. there. So we had Chef Ty's Kitchen last week. He was up at 3 a.m. And Sophie Davis is going to be doing the same thing come this Thursday. CS Essentials, what's going on? Thank you so much for the love and support. I appreciate you. My cousin, Chanel, thank you for supporting. And then, of course, Miss Cookies and Pie, Bethany, thank you for supporting. You support on Instagram, you support on Facebook. I love and I just love you so much. Thank you for coming through. And I see Miss Serene Poems out there. How are you doing? What's going on? So last night we were on this whole mental health thing, and Stephen Bond says we all go through times. Mental health is so real. It's so real, but yet some people can be so fake about it. So we just want to keep this whole thing going. And for some of the people who are struggling with, being socially awkward. Last night we spoke about being socially awkward. Anybody that's ever been in that situation where they get, you know, shook up from large crowds, they get shook up from living a lie and needing to keep up to the expectations of somebody else, somebody else's life, somebody else's dreams. So, what advice do y'all have for people who are struggling with being socially awkward? And one of my key points yesterday was hit the reset button. And you may not feel comfortable because of your audience or the group that you're in probably is not the right setting for you. So if that is the case, you need to sit back, you need to evaluate your life, and you need to say, why do I feel uncomfortable being around these people, being in this group setting? What makes me feel a little bit uneasy when I'm here? I'm just speaking from advice. And once you hit that reset button and start cleaning up some of that stuff and cutting some ties and moving some people away, and then once you get that all situated, you look at yourself in the mirror and you get real with yourself and say, this time around, what you gonna do? What hat you gonna put on today? You gonna put on the one that you want, or you gonna put on the one that somebody else has? Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't put yourself in situations where you're around people that you have no business being around. You know that that doesn't work well for you, but you went ahead and did it anyway because you're comparing yourself and you want what somebody else has. Want what you have. And then once you start doing that, well, listen, it'll all come together and you'll be okay and you'll feel a little more comfortable at your own speed. And people who want to be around you will make you feel comfortable. And then that way you will not feel uncomfortable being in these situations that you probably had no business being in the first place. Now, I know it goes a little bit deeper than that. Some people, might need to go on medication or things like that because, it's just too much and the situation might be, way more deeper than what I was talking about. But when I'm speaking about for myself, it's because you may not necessarily need to go speak to anybody. You may not necessarily need to go on any medication. How about you just clean up your environment and get your shit together? Because sometimes mental health and, depression and all kinds of shit is because the things that you do to yourself. You hang around people that you should not be around. You eat things that you should not be eating. All kinds of stuff can happen. Your diet's poor. You stay up late. You don't do what you're supposed to do. You don't get enough rest. A lot of things can, trigger mental health issues and stuff like that. But for me, I would say my environment is a number one situation. If I'm not in a clean, nice environment, I'm gonna get depressed. And when I get depressed, now I'm gonna rip everybody's face off, and you ain't gonna like anything that comes out of me at all. Period. And my wheels just keep spinning, and it's just gonna get worse, and it's gonna get worse, and it's gonna get worse because I need to get out of that situation. So for me, if anybody's like me, clean up your environment. Get get some things cleaned up. Get some people out of your life. Stephen Bond says, you have to be confident in your own skin and not worry about other people, especially negative people. Like my grandmother used to say, and I love it. I love speaking to her about some of these things. And she'll always tell me, same negative people. And I'm going to put my little spin on because she don't curse like this, but, you know, I can put it on there like that. Same people that got something to say about you are the same people that don't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. And I want you to look back at your life and I want you to think about all of the people who said some negative things about you. You ain't this, you ain't that, you're not going to do this, you're not going to, all that pointing fingers and shit. They're pointing fingers and projecting all their ugly off on you. And when you peel it back and you look and you be like, I can't believe that I was actually shook up a little bit and concerned about what you had to say about me because it is so true. When I look at the things that I have in my life and things that I got going on in my life compared to yours, you don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. And that actually starts challenging me too. Once you start to realize that and you start to get your power back, you be like, "Ooh, I got you. Game on." See, I got to put a couple MFs in there, but game on. Because now I really want to see when we compare each other 2 years from now, 3 years from now, the same motherfuckers that had something to say about you are still gonna be those same people that don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out, still sitting around scheming, sitting around a table scheming, talking about everybody else, and they be the main ones that's so effed up. And then you look at them, negative, disrespectful, and you be like, ooh, once you remove yourself away from the situation, you turn around and you bump into some of these same people that's so negative and so, ugh, be like, ill. The life has been sucked out of you. You're so negative that it's like the life has been sucked out of you. You have no life in you. And it's just all pure, just evilness. Anybody out there understand and know what I'm talking about? Have you ever separated yourself from a group of people and you didn't know how you were going to be able to have the strength to do it, and these people actually had some control over your life in some roundabout way, and you felt like you couldn't do it, like they had something over you? And then you go back and you peek around the corner and you check them out from a distance, and you be like, damn, I'm so glad that I removed myself from that situation because, wow, would I have looked like that too? Probably when you were hanging around them in that same group, in that same crowd, you were looking just like that. What's going on? It's all in the cards. Ed Foreman, what's going on? How are you doing? Where are you calling from? So, my addiction is more important than my family. Have you had any experience with it? Could have been a loved one, it could have been a friend. Do you know anybody that said, forget it? I'm sorry. My addiction is way more important than my family. These drugs mean more. This alcohol is more important. This sex is more important. This shopping, spending, partying, whatever I'm doing is way more important than my family. Have you seen somebody self destruct like that because their addiction was just way more important than their family? And it's rough, and I know it happens all the time. But do you know anybody whose addiction was just way more important? And when you think about addiction, it's not always something rough like, oh, it has to be drugs, oh, it has to be, alcohol. Some people have an addiction to sex. Some people have an addiction to partying, out in the street, ripping and running. can't sit down knowing that they got children at home, toddlers, whatever. My addiction is more important than my family. That's craziness. It happens, and I've seen it. I know some people who are still running, still running. Children dead and gone. Your addiction was important when the children were here. Kids grow up, end up falling victim, and you end up burying your child, and you still ripping and running. That addiction is still, that wasn't even a wake up call. You burying your own child wasn't even a wake up call. You still out here ripping and running in the streets. Coronavirus, all kinds of stuff. You don't care. So your addiction is definitely way more important than your family. Pretty boy Trey, what's going on? All the way from, I believe you're from Connecticut. Now, I don't know if anybody is going to really answer this, but this is a rhetorical. I got a couple rhetorical questions. Is anybody going to answer this here? So, help. I have been secretly talking to my ex. Should I tell my spouse about my selfish ways? I truly believe that there is always that one ex that you will always secretly go back to, whether you do it in the flesh or whether you do it in your mind. There's always that one person that was your first love or whatever situation you got going on that you tend to reach out. Whether you're reaching out in your mind or you're starting to feel a little lonely because your relationship is starting to set in. I don't know whether you're 2 years into it, 6 years into it. He just ain't communicating with you the right way. She ain't giving you that loving that you need that you used to get. So, not saying that you're cheating or anything, but you might just want that little emotional connection that you once had before because you know it's all feels so good and feels so real when you don't have them. When you rewind it, you don't remember that the same situation that you're going through right now with the person that you're with, you had that same breakdown and that same disconnect with that first love, but you can't see it. So you secretly reach out and you text or you drive by or you think you're being intimate with your significant other, but your mind tends to drift, thinking about those good old days with number one, help. I've been secretly talking, or I'll say thinking, about my ex. Should I tell my spouse about my selfish ways? So now, if you're thinking about them, I don't think that you should tell your ex, tell your significant other that you're thinking about your ex. But when you actually see them in the flesh, you go to lunch, you spend some time with them in the flesh. I think that could be some real tricky situations right there. Talking on the phone, that's some slippery slopes there too, because that's where it starts. I want to know how many people. I know I'm starting some stuff. There's a lot of people. I try to think that people are good, and once you get married or once you're in a relationship, there is going to be none of this back and forth. I try to think like that, but when I thought like that for so many years, that's where I get all smacked up and hurt up because the person that I was connected to, they didn't necessarily always think that way. I've had it where they were secretly reaching out to their first love. And I'm like, damn, now you were reaching out to your first behind my back. Hell, maybe I should have been doing the same damn thing. That's how my mind thinks. Oh, okay. So you were secretly doing that the whole time. I should have been doing the same thing. But I wasn't, but it is what it is. In my mind, maybe, but I didn't actually speak. You were speaking and probably doing all kinds of other stuff behind my back, but it's all good though. But should you tell them? I think you should because they're going to find out anyway. Like I said, I found out. Not once, not twice. Three, 4 times. Anytime somebody tried to do some slick shit like that to me, I found out about it. Like I said, not once, twice. I'm thinking about 4 times. I found out some crazy shit, and it was always somebody that they dealt with in the past before me. Like, I thought you were done with them. I thought it was over. Where'd they come from? And in one of the situations, the first one came back and stole them from me. Good riddance. Goodbye. Take them. I don't want them anyway. This next one is going to be something else. Now, I need anybody out there who's older to answer this. And I'm going to put this in the comments for some replay comments because I need to know. So I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago talking about, rough it is with the pandemic and, dating and the bullshit that goes on nowadays. And like, oh yeah, interesting. Sex drive is this way, it's that way. And somebody was like, be very careful because as you continue to age in life, you tend to have a higher sex drive and it gets out of control as you get older. That's a rough situation. That's the truth. So the question is, does your sex drive increase or does it decrease as you get older? And is there a difference between men and women? So does your sex drive increase or decrease as you get older? And is there a difference between men and women? And all I have to tell you is that, listen, if that's the case, I'm in for a world full of trouble. Hell, I have a situation as it is now. I can't imagine if it gets out of control to a higher level as I continue to get older. That's going to be insane. If y'all are in your 30s and 40s and can't keep your hands off of each other at that age, what the hell's going to happen when you're 50 and 60? That is crazy. Nene, answer that question for me. Does your sex drive increase or decrease as you get older? And is there a difference between the case when it comes to sex drive as you get older? Men or is it women? And men, we always get the rap of being, out of control from when we were, young. Teenagers. Oh, they're just sex crazy, they're this, they're that. I have a good inclination that the women actually get out of control as they get older. That's something else. It does. But then what about people who, well, I guess it's not for everybody, but there's some people where it does decrease and then their mates get upset because they can't perform properly. There's a lot of that going on too. I would be curious and I would love to do a survey to see, does it increase or does it decrease? What the response would be. That would be a good question for like Family Feud to see what the survey says, because I would love to know what the percentages were. I have a high sex drive anyway, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, listen, forget about age. Age ain't have nothing to do with it at this point. Hell, things are out of control here today. So I can't even imagine what it would be like. I don't know. That's insane. Guinevere, I love that name. Guinevere Rose, thank you so much for joining on TikTok. I appreciate you. Increase. Everybody's saying increase, which I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. All I'm going to say is that I'm so thankful that it seems like I'm aging in reverse. So watch out, is all I have to say. The next person that comes walking across my path, watch out. Um, so if you'd like to support the 401 podcast, I need y'all to do something for me. I need you to text remix, the keyword remix, to 609 738 0611. And you will get access to my new book, My Inspirations, Volume 1.5, The Liberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. So this book is coming out soon, but you can get your copy early, pre-sale before anybody else does. Text the keyword 609, text the keyword remix to 609 738 0611, and you will get a special link to go ahead and pre-order this book, My Inspirations, Volume 1.5, Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. To give you a brief overview of what this book is about, it is a journal. You'll be able to write down your thoughts and track everything inside this book here. I'm going to share with you, like I did today a little bit, I'm going to share with you my past, and then I'm going to let you know where I'm at here today in the present moment. So this is exactly what I've been through in the past. And this is what I'm doing about it right here now, and I'm here now. And I'm giving you a glimpse as far as my future. And then I leave it out for you to go ahead and you write your own destiny and you write your story. So again, My Inspirations, Volume 1.5, Deliberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset for 30 days. I want you to just take the deliberation challenge for 30 days and write some nice affirmations about your life, because I'm already giving you the opportunity, letting you know about what I've been through, where I'm at right now, and where I'm going for 30 days. 609 738 0611, keyword remix. And of course, I want to thank each and every one of y'all out there for hanging out there. Instagram, y'all were doing a damn thing tonight. Thank y'all so much for joining. TikTok, I've seen so many people come in and out as well. Facebook, I know that y'all are out there too. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And of course, I have to thank my executive producer, because without him, none of this would be possible. My Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Tomorrow, we have Mr. Robert Stubblefield coming in the building tomorrow with It's All in the Cars with Kathy, the whiskey drinking, crazy thinking, shit talking that I am walking. So Robert was on Reading Between the Wines before, and he's coming back. And he had me cracking up last time. I mean, it was funny as hell. Talking about how his father made a grown man eat bananas. So the story is that him and his brother, I believe, walking down the street, and one of the neighbors kept, you know, having some racial slurs or whatever and saying, "Here, you want bananas," throwing bananas at the kids. And I'm like, that's crazy. So the father said, "Listen, this is your first and this is your last warning. Leave my kids alone." One of my burning questions was, have you ever seen your parents throw hands? So he actually answered yes. And he told this story. So father said, first and last warning, leave mine alone. I'm going to need you to leave mine alone. There you go. Fast forward. The guy's out there throwing bananas again, telling these young little boys to come eat these bananas or whatever. And then he told us a story about how his father knocked on the door, snatched the dude out, and actually made him eat those bananas. So, man, I don't know when he was on. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months ago. But that was a funny replay for Reading Between the Wines. Y'all really should check that out. But he's coming back tomorrow, Reading Between the Wines, 8 p.m. So on Wednesday nights, I do Reading Between the Wines at 8 p.m. That's the only night that I'm on at 8. Every other night, we got the 4-1 podcast here going at 10 p.m. So tomorrow, I need y'all to set y'all reminders to tune in at 8 o'clock for Reading Between the Wines. If this is your first time joining and you know nothing about it, it's basically a time for us to wind down. It's Wind Down Wednesday, Wine Wednesday. You're going to get a different type of vibe, from the 4-1 podcast. It's a little more laid, relax. You're gonna get some jokes, kind of like adult humor in a roundabout way, some little inside side jokes back and forth between me, and it's all in the cars with Kathy. Plus, I sample some wine. You learn a little bit about wine, and we get various authors and writers to come on, and they share their story and they speak about their books and everything. And there you go. It's reading between the wines. And how it actually started was I actually was reviewing my book first, and that's how we started, and then that's how the 4-in-1 podcast came about. So here you go, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Reading between the wines. I want to see y'all there tomorrow. Ooh, I love these names that we got coming in here. Sexy in Seconds Boutique. And I want to know a lot about that business. You should probably come on a 4-in-1 podcast. Sexy in Seconds Boutique. Where are you calling from? What can we learn about your business? See y'all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Reading between the wines. Take care, y'all. Oh, what's going on? I think that's trying to think Erica. What's going on? How you doing? Thanks for joining. But we getting ready to sign out here now. You should DM me and I'll send you some information to get you to come on the 4-in-1. Business sounds I like the name. Sexy in Seconds Boutique. So yes, I want to see y'all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Reading between the wines. Mr. Robert Stubblefield. Besides the funny jokes though, take care now. He is on point. His books and his poetry, his writings and everything, you're gonna like him tomorrow. Speak some real truth and some real heartfelt stuff. So check us out tomorrow, 8 p.m. Reading between the wines. Mr. Robert Stubblefield, mixed in with the whiskey drinking, crazy thinking, shit talking that I ain't walking. Miss is all in the cars with Kathy. And one more time, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Instagram, y'all did the damn thing tonight. Thank you to everybody out there on TikTok. Guinevere Rose, thank you for coming in. Cash, how you doing out there? Where are you calling from? Thank you all. Facebook people, sometimes I can't see you out there, but I want to definitely say what's up. Thank you for showing some love. People on Twitter, YouTube, D Live. Love my D Live family. Twitch. Thank y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Take care, y'all. Good night. Good night.